there are signs from the other side that Donald Trump's war in Iran is not going as you might have thought. There's panic in Maggot Town, as you might have imagined, and it's ongoing. Chat room, hit that like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide. This is Joey Pags, or Timu Bosch, as we like to call him, and apparently he and Trump, who is sitting on his knee like a ventriloquist dummy. I don't know what. I don't know, you got some nerve, maggot. Look how small he is. I pooped on your leg. Aw, you rascal. Seriously, no, my diaper is completely leaking out. You don't have to tell me. I can feel it's warm and kind of wet. It's slowly moving. Well, it's rock solid. It was, I was straining for, I didn't even, you weren't even paying attention. I had sweat rolling down my forehead. Sorry. Hormuz panic, which is different from Hormel panic, because sometimes chili, the food that looks like it's already been eaten already once. So
we all saw it and felt it. Gas prices soared seemingly overnight.
Over weekend, sure.
Because of the military action happening in Iran.
It's a military action now. I was wondering, you were like, isn't it an excursion, Hal? And I was like, no, there's another phrase. Whoa, something.
What's the story with that? Well, one tiny waterway controls about 20% of the world's oil supply. But within hours, the prices suddenly plummeted. They collapsed because of one move that President Trump did. He made assurances about global shipping through the Strait of Hormuz.
He also said he was going to sell oil out of the strategic reserve. And the IAEA, I think, said they were going to release 400 million barrels, basically hoping that they could nudge him towards finishing this shit by this weekend. Because he flipped out. Because prices spiked.
I got with Daniel Turner, Power of the Future. He says this is how it went down and how it's going to affect every driver in the United States.
Very exciting. All right. Every 9-iron and every putter as well.
What is Iran rich in? Is it natural gas? Is it petroleum, fossil fuels? What are we looking at when
hatred for imperialist dogs
it comes to what natural resources Iran has?
Oil and gas, huge petro state, and these are priced on the global commodities. So even when bad guys like Iran are engaged in this space, or Russia or Venezuela, right, that does.
You don't look, dude. All right, fuck this. I'm gonna give you points for having the old-fashioned typewriter there that says it screams writer to everyone, but your printer's right next to it, and I gotta say that's kind of a dick move to your typewriter, don't you think? Like you bring this old guy home from the thrift store, you set him in a position of honor. You even use him occasionally to type up a letter or a grocery list just to make you feel like you work for a living. And then you park him right next to the steam engine like he's John Henry. You dick.
Impact our prices here.
And you sit there with a jar full of fucking peanuts over your shoulder telling everyone something we all have known forever.
At home, just as it would with wheat prices, with gold prices, right? There are global commodities that America tries to dominate.
Shit, somebody, get me a pen. Hold on. I gotta write this shit down. Hold on. Scribble. So, gold, list of commodities, list of commodities, gold, oil, wheat, frozen concentrated orange juice, and pork bellies. I learned that from Trading Places. Not to be confused with Living Spaces. Trying to do it with a thing. I have this prop cigarette sitting in my drawer, and every so often it just has to come out. I also have a cigar in case I go, one more question, if I may, ma'am. But I don't have to ask anybody about train schedules right now, so.
Keep prices stable, but we are in an internet.
Here's how fire, bang, rock together, make spark in front of little twig, go fire and take meat, throw on things. Slow me down if I'm going too fast.
National market.
Well, I thought that Iran wasn't allowed to sell its own resources. Is it able to? Is there oil on the world?
Yeah. Trump allowed them to sell $6 billion worth of it to South Korea. That's where the money for the hostages is going to come from. And Joe Biden tricked the Iranians, got our hostages, and never paid them the money.
Market? If so, what did I miss? I mean, I do news and information for a living. I thought we said you're not allowed to sell it.
It was not allowed during the Trump administration, and by the time Donald Trump left on January 20th of 2021.
By the way, yes, it was. He got caught allowing them to sell it, and that's why he shut it down.
Iran was only producing around 300,000 barrels per day. By the end of the Joe Biden administration, that was up to 3.2 million barrels a day.
Oh, wow.
And that delta of 2.9 million barrels is, terrorism. That's the fun.
Is it? I would think it was cars and their entire economy. Because even at that level, I don't think the difference between 300, I don't think they can live, the 92 million people can basically live off the revenue from 300,000 barrels a day of oil. I think there's a tipping point that's much closer to the 3.9 million before you really can start handing out cash. Ask the Saudis.
For Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis up in Yemen, that's the funding for October 7th attack on Israel.
Which cost like $18.50. By the way, what kind of guns did they have? The guns they use, those are Iranian models? Are they U.S.? Did Joe Biden sell them M16s and M4s? Is that where they got the guns from? If you look at all those guys, where do their weapons come from? Do they come from Iran? Does Iran have their own rifle factory? They come from somebody else. I'll think of it later.
That's the funding, quite frankly, for the IED that those little punk bastards threw in New York City a couple of days ago, right? All the terrorists.
No. No, money did not travel from Iran all the way to those guys so they could make an incendiary device. Sorry, have you ever watched an episode of MacGyver? You do realize that there are plenty of things to make an incendiary device of in New York City.
And we see around the world that's funded by Iran, that's where their money came from. It was Joe Biden lifting their sanctions and making them rich and wealthy.
Let's say again, because I could be confused. I thought that Joe Biden actually unfroze about $6 billion of money that they shouldn't have had their hands on.
Yeah, he didn't.
So he unfroze that money, plus allowed them to sell 10 times more oil?
Exactly. And the naivete to say that, this was going to somehow bring peace and prosperity. And as
yeah, it's weird that we didn't have to launch an attack on them during that time.
You and your wonderful audience is watching news unfurl and you're...
Yes, news does have a tendency to unfurl.
You're seeing talking heads. Anthony Blinken wasn't Secretary of State quite long ago. He's been pretty quiet. Jake Sullivan, Joe Biden's national security advisor, he's been pretty gosh darn quiet, right? None of these folks are going on TV because they cannot explain what their responsibility in getting us to this point where we are because they're...
Well, yeah, because you'd have to establish that they do have responsibility in that. Other than, I guess, not beating our chest about peace loudly enough so that Donald Trump gets reelected.
They're guilty.
It is Daniel Turner, Power of the Future. Is it powerofthefuture.com?
Yes.
It would have to be, wouldn't it?
It is.
It's not .org. You don't think he works for free, do you?
Go check out what he does. So again, I'm trying to...
What does he do?
Figure this out because we keep hearing about wanting to be energy independent. In fact, under Trump the first time, we were told that we were a net exporter of energy, of oil. I mean, we were getting as much, if not more, than anybody else on the planet. And I know that our reserves are very, very deep and steep. Why do we...
They're the lowest they've ever been.
Have to still allow ourselves to be jockeyed around by this cartel called OPEC? What is the...
Because we tried to move towards electric cars, which would have been the single thing that would have brought down the amount of oil we use in conjunction with raising production through shale oil and the like. But Donald Trump did everything he could to, and maggots in general did everything they could to undermine that. And so we're behind on that arc. And so we currently produce about 13.5 to 14 million barrels a day, and we use 19. I think that might have something to do. All right.
World market affect us? Is it because we don't have enough refining capacity? What's the issue? Why can't we say, you know what, you guys, screw you, we're going to set our own price per barrel in this country?
Oh, you mean nationalizing it? You fucking commie.
I wish we could. And if you do look at the different oil markets, WTI, which is West Texas Intermediate, which is what American oil is usually around $10, $12 cheaper than some of the other oil markets. The oil market of Brent, which is the North Sea, the oil market of Murban, which is the Middle East, right? So there is some independence. But again, it is all a global market. Every country in the world needs.
Yeah, it's cheaper because you don't have to pay the shipping.
Oil and for everything that we use. Even the people who are saying, well, we should go green. Your green products are made from oil. Your wind,
no, they're not.
And your solar and your EVs and your Teslas and your batteries are all made from oil. So oil's
okay. Naphtha is one thing, but no, they're not. These are not plastic fucking cars, you absolute asshole. And of course, when you make an electric car, even if you use plastics to do it, which come from petroleum products, it's made, and it doesn't use more oil to run around. It doesn't burn oil as it's being made from plastic at some point, or parts of it made from plastic. This is one of the dumbest fucking, this explains a lot, though. This is how these guys process information.
Not going anywhere anytime soon. And oil markets hate uncertainty. And
unlike every other market?
There has been uncertainty in the last couple of days.
Based on what? Do you not have faith in your Lord and Savior, Donald Trump?
Now, a huge story is how we went from $122 to $81 in a matter of hours, right? So as things calm down and as the jitters escape, oil prices will come down. And they'll continue in that direction as more calm is restored to the area.
Well,
no, they flooded the short-term supply, and then Trump said the war was going to be over, and he's continually said we're basically done. He's kicking the market along, trying to make it more certain that it will end sooner rather than later, and not drag on for a month. The idea it went up $20. It jacked up and then it went down a little bit, but that was profiteering and panic and all that kind of shit because it was an attack and it's a giant thing. But the Strait of Hormuz is still, what's the phrase? Fucked.
Left media and the left politically all rejoiced the fact that it was over $100 a barrel. So how did it go to 100?
Also, no, we're not rejoicing. I told you so is not a form of rejoicing.
Down to 81 so fast. What happened? Does something have to happen, or is that just a massive, a bunch of people selling what they had to make a quick profit, and that lowered the price? Or did we release or get our hands on some other source of crude that I didn't know about?
No, it's all just speculation and it's all market jitters. We don't have a supply problem. We had a fear of a transportation problem.
Right. We have a glut. We have too much of that shit.
And those tankers
that's why they're fairly certain the price will drop. That's why Trump can keep saying that. It's the same reason why he kept saying, I'm going to cut your energy costs in half, 50%. They're going to be 50%. That's why he kept saying that. It was because everybody knew that's what the glut, the glut math proved.
In the Straits of Hormuz that were anchored, right, because they were reluctant to set sail. Well, they don't have sailboats, but you know what? They don't have sails, but you know what I mean. As they were reluctant to pass, once they were given that security by the government of first military protection from the United States government, and then insurance protection by the United States government. Once things were calmed and vessels started moving, again, the speculators, the concern, all calmed down,
and then ships got hit, and then it didn't matter. And chat room, if I may, real quick, I want to show you something. I think it was yeah, there's a little interactive window. Yep, Iran is putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz, and these are the ships that have gotten hit. This little area right here. These are You can see these little guys running around, little ships trying to move, and then pow, this one got hit, and then this one got hit. The reaction went up to 120. They felt like they could manage it, and it's gone back down to 80, and then it's going to start climbing again. So these fellows are talking out of their ass. Here it is. U.S. officials say Iran is laying mines in key oil route. Iran is using smaller boats for the operation in the Strait of Hormuz, an American official has said. Remember I was telling you they use fishing boats and civilian watercraft, and they have these like yachts that basically look like they're military craft, except they're painted white and flagged as civilian. That's what they use. A U.S. refueling plane crashed in Iraq, and Israeli airstrikes pounded the Lebanese and Iranian capitals. Here's the latest. Let's see what the latest is, shall we? They've been laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. CENTCOM says a U.S. KC-135 refueling aircraft, which military officials said was part of the American war on Iran, has crashed in Iraq. I don't know. In a statement, Central Command said that an incident occurred in friendly airspace. Another one. And added that rescue efforts were underway. The KC-135 has a 3-person crew. The incident was not because of either hostile fire or friendly fire, CENTCOM said. In the Strait, it was just random fire. They were just celebratory fire. Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. said that while it had destroyed larger Iranian naval vessels, Iran began using smaller boats to lay mines on Thursday. I said this earlier in the week. This is exactly what, it's not even like a fallback. This is how they do it. Earlier on Thursday, Mojtaba Khamenei, his new supreme leader, had vowed to keep blocking the strait, striking a defiant tone in his first public statement. Again, I don't know about striking a defiant tone is doing a lot of heavy lifting because it was a written statement. Somebody on the news read it. Okay. We've got another piece of breaking news. Thank you for that, Andrea. See if we can get the audio on this guy.
States refueler tanker, a military jet, a large one at that, went down over Iraq today.
Okay, that's the one we were talking about.
According to U.S. Central Command, a U.S. KC-135 refueling aircraft crashed today. Rescue efforts are ongoing for the service members that were on board. We don't know how many there are, but there are
3.
Reports it could be up to 6 service members right now. It was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire. We don't know why it went down. At the same time, according to CBS News, there was another military medical evacuation today. It flew from Saudi Arabia to Germany. 19 injured service members on board. 2 military members were injured when a drone exploded near their vehicle. Another day and another example.
And Donald Trump's in a fucking on a tour of factories to prove that things that Joe Biden started are his. And by the way, this isn't the only place this is happening. Chat room, hit that like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide. I don't know what this fucking face thing is doing. Look, maybe I could do great numbers on my channel if I put my face going, huh? To what? On my thumbnails, but it's just fucking embarrassing. It's just fucking crazy, mate. Yeah. U.S. tanker was hit, and this is Dimpool will explain to us how this is both terrible, probably the end of the world, and no big deal, but maybe it is. But all he's going to say is it could be both or neither at the same time. Probably not, but maybe so.
Let's jump to this story. We've got breaking news. This is a video that's been going massively viral. This is Amichai Stein. One of the oil tankers that was attacked by Iranian explosive boats in the Persian Gulf belongs to a U.S.-based company, Safe Sea Group, I believe is that the name of the company. We've got 2 videos. We've got this one as well as this from Disclose TV. An American-owned oil tanker struck by explosive drone boats near Iraqi waters, preliminary reports indicate. So we'll just play this video for you first. I don't think there's any sound. Okay, there may be sound. There we go. Massive damage.
Yes, there's a lot of water, a lot of fire, very little boat. Who and look at this collection of flunkies that he's got over here. It's like they all do reaction videos on stuff snuck out of a Ren fair.
One of the craziest things about these tankers getting bombed is that
they're full of fuel, and that stuff goes boom boom.
these are some of the biggest explosions and fireballs ever in history, because these are tankers with like ridiculous amounts of crude in them.
Oh God! I was kidding. I honestly thought he was gonna say something else that was equally as ridiculous, but whatever. But yeah, he's just gonna go with, wow, these things are full of boom boom juice.
Blowing up. So here's the other video, and
Fascinating. It's great. Yep. It's just we're all. Did you ever take one of those school aptitude tests? Yeah, it said I should be a fire washer. All right. This is. I mean, I can only do so much, Dimpool. I'm sorry. And the reason oil burns so brightly, Roy, is it's Joe Biden's fault. Yep. Joe Biden is the reason why entire shipments of boom boom go go juice are blowing up in waters while Donald Trump has been president for a year. Okay, look, I know what a lot of you are saying. How in the world is the administration going to get a handle on this whole Iran talking point thing if all the sexiness is again it? If you've got Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Dave Smith and all the hotness, Ian Carroll being against it, all the model friendly maggots don't like it. How are you ever going to shift the message? You got to send out something. You can't just have Lindsey Graham running around, looking like one of Buffalo Bill's victims. You got to send somebody out with some charisma. I know I'm being sarcastic. I'm being ironic. There are fewer things funnier than Ted Cruz trying to be tough, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what Timu Wolverine has to say. But he's like, Trump will take you out. Ted Cruz puts U.S. adversaries on notice. Damn, son.
Now, if you are on the West Coast tonight, listen up closely. The FBI is now warning law enforcement officials in California that Iran could be plotting a surprise drone attack against unspecified targets within the state of California. Now,
it's a pretty big state.
This as Senator Cruz is now warning the threat from the possible Iranian sleeper cells has never been higher. He joins us now, Texas.
So they're not sleeping. They're just kind of napping cells at this point. They're not even deeply asleep.
Senator Cruz, let's talk about the sleeper cell.
I'm here to make every American feel a lot more secure, mainly because I'm not outside their window making weird lip motions and rubbing my nipples on the glass.
In this direct threat of drones to California.
Well, Sean, as we sit here right now tonight, the threat of terrorist attack is higher now than it has been in decades.
I am chubbing in a way that you would not. The laws we will be able, the things left out of the Patriot Act that we are going to be able to table now are just, they're making my nipples hard. I'm not lying. I could cut glass with them right now. I'm worried about this suit. I was like, I should have bought the bulletproof John Wick shirt, or my nipples will plunge through my own garment. Sean, this is exciting.
And there are two causes of it. Number one, we had 4 years under Joe Biden of open borders. We had 12 million people flood across the border, basically an open...
You don't think that, real quick, you don't think those folks would have come in during Trump because he's the guy that tore up the deal? I guess it's a permanent mystery. It's an unknowable, so you can use it whatever. But I would think, just kind of from a strategic and timing factor, that Donald Trump tearing up the Iran agreement was sort of taken as proof that he intended to, attack Iran at some point in the future. And that's when they would have entered the country with, that if a new deal couldn't be made, maybe this is the time to act,
Invitation to every terrorist, every Hamas and Hezbollah and IRGC terrorist.
These printed invitations, or did they use Evite? Because I'm worried about my tax dollars.
Come to America. We have seen in just the last week 2 terrorist attacks unfold. We saw just over a week ago in Austin, Texas, a deranged killer showing up in a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah."
Right. Been here for years.
In a T-shirt underneath with an Iranian flag, opened fire at a bar in Austin, Texas, killing several Texans, wounding more than a dozen more. It was a brazen act of terrorism. Then we saw just a couple of days ago 2 ISIS terrorists from Pennsylvania,
which is where most of them come from,
travel to New York and throw 2 handmade bombs filled with nails and bolts designed to kill as many people as possible. Fortunately, these terrorists were not very bright terrorists, so they didn't actually know how to make bombs that worked, so the bombs didn't detonate. But the terrorists told the Department of Justice they had
Dude was totally afraid it was going to blow up in his hand, you could tell.
hoped to kill a lot more people than the Boston bombers did at the Boston Marathon. Those are the 2 terrorist
I mean, I think everybody's trying to add to their numbers.
attacks we've seen, and we are at danger of more. We have had radical Muslim clerics in the Middle East call for fatwas, issue fatwas against America, instruct Islamists
Fatwas? Okay.
to try to kill as many Americans as they can.
Yeah, we're at war with a country right now.
And I got to tell you the most indefensible part of all of this.
The bombing of the girls' school in Iran that might add a feeling of justification to the people that might be in this country and feel like they have the right to carry out a similar revenge plot for those girls, and the wanton disregard for their life that's coming from Hegseth and Trump would seem to further that belief in somebody who's that far gone and a danger to everyone around them.
At a time when we are facing profound threats of terrorism, every single Democrat except John Fetterman has voted over and over and over again to shut down the Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, no. You've literally decided to make the Department of Homeland Security choose between ICE agents wearing body cams like every other law enforcement professional in the country, or keeping it shut down. Because I cease to see why that's a problem. Is it a budgetary issue? Do you think it's too expensive? Do you know that when people see what they're doing, they won't like it, and they'll see that, quite frankly, they're just scooping people up who happen to look Hispanic or happen to look foreign?
Department of Homeland Security, its central purpose is to prevent acts of terrorism, and the Democrats are saying defund DHS when we're facing a massive risk of terrorism.
Well, no, they won't sign on to the funding until you treat it, the ICE agents, like law enforcement personnel everywhere else.
You know, I have very hard pressed to understand those
English
that do not understand the Trump doctrine. I think they purposefully distort it.
Yeah, they don't even know. Tell everybody what the Trump doctrine is. We'll see, I think, is the Trump doctrine.
For their own political purposes. You know, then you have the isolationist wing, the anti-Semitic wing.
Oh, so he's not talking about Democrats at all. This is 100% Republicans.
Democrats that don't support anything Donald Trump does.
Yeah, but mainly it's because of that whole, adjudicated rapist, best friend of Jeffrey Epstein's fraudster thing.
So,
I mean, that's the jump point. There's lots of other reasons that he's done recently that not to support him, but those are the ones.
These voices out there that are loud, but to me rather meaningless.
This is Tucker again. You mean your former colleague?
Because they don't understand history.
Yeah, that's what it is. They don't understand history. Don't they understand? Iraq went very well. Every time we've done something like this, it was exactly what needed to be done, exactly when we needed to do it.
And I brought this up with Mike Walls. 100 million human souls last century. They have said they want to destroy Israel and America. When they say it, believe it. When even after Operation Midnight Hammer,
yes,
they did not learn their lesson, and they think it's their inalienable right to have nuclear weapons.
Sorry, the Iranians have killed 100 million people?
At that point,
I think he means Muslims, just in general, just for the record.
when do you realize maybe you want to take out a regime that's pledging a modern-day Holocaust before they actually have the weapons to do it?
Sean, you are absolutely right.
You're right. We should have been bombing them this whole time. If I was in there and I was the president, I would have hit every girls' school within a 5-mile radius of anything in Iran that wasn't a crypto mining facility.
And it's worth understanding the threat from Iran is not theoretical, it's not hypothetical.
Yeah, it is.
47 years ago, the Islamist revolution
47 years ago. Okay, now do the Japanese.
happened in Iran, and the Ayatollah came in. The first thing they did to start the revolution was to take Americans hostage and to hold them hostage for 444 days. That's how they started their revolution.
Yeah, and Reagan and George H.W. Bush helped them.
For 47 years.
And then later gave them arms as a thank you note for helping them get elected.
The regime in Iran has been the #1 funder of terrorism across the globe.
I have to say, I call bullshit. One is because a big portion of their funding comes from Russia, so it's kind of all downstream from that. And also, Russia is, again, look at every gun. It's an AK-47. Like all of these groups are armed by the Russians. So I don't know if they have some sort of like, yogurt club card thing. After 9 AK-47s, you get a 10th one free and a couple of hand grenades. But the Iranians are downstream from the Russians. But Trump likes the Russians, and the Russians are white, and they are allegedly Christian. So you like hiding behind them.
Hamas that carried out the horrific October 7th atrocities.
Yeah, October 7th cost like $15. It was like they didn't get like special technology.
90% of their funding comes from
Okay, so $17 out of the 18.
Iran. Hezbollah, 90% of their funding comes from Iran. The Houthis, 90%.
Who's the other 10%?
Of their fundings comes from Iran.
Also, citation needed. I mean, I hear this all the time, and I don't doubt that Iran, sponsors terrorism, no question. Fuck them. But the idea that 90% of it comes from there is a little ridiculous, especially when there was that whole flap about was Netanyahu paying Hamas to gentrify for a while and giving them cash so they would calm the fuck down?
In the last
Is that the 10%?
5 decades, Iran has murdered nearly 1,000 Americans. The Ayatollah, he leads mobs chanting death to America.
Yeah. But again, from that perspective, let's say they felt like they had a kinship with the Iraqis that were killed or the Afghans that were killed by us or by Russia or by anybody else.
If history teaches anything, it's that if somebody tells you they want to kill you, believe them.
Right, but they also have to have the capability to do it. Given the opportunity and the gas money and the free time and if they weren't so shitty at sneaking, I'm sure that's true of a lot of people. I think it's smart to let it. I'm not going to preemptively strike some trailer park in Tennessee because somebody sent me a shit email.
And to be clear, the Ayatollah twice hired hitmen to murder President Trump. And so,
okay, again, we've been all over this. And the ties that he directly okayed it is very tenuous. It sounds very dramatic, but at that point, they arrested people who were associates of somebody's associate. This is like when they talk about terrorists who cross the southern border, when it's people on the terrorist watch list who cross the southern border. Well, why are they on the terrorist watch list? What'd they do? Oh, they're Nigerian, and Nigeria has some terrorism in it, so that's on the list. That's how we get there. That's the problem with this kind of this drama.
You were talking a minute ago about the Trump doctrine. The Trump doctrine is not invade foreign countries and send our soldiers to die in extended occupations. We're not.
Well, not yet.
Doing that. That is
not so far.
Not happening in Iran. Iran is not Iraq. But what
So far.
President Trump will do is, if you are killing Americans, if you are a threat to the safety of Americans, President Trump is a strong commander-in-chief, and he will take you out. And
Well, and the problem is, first, if he's actually going after the people who actually did the thing, and then in the process of killing the people that may or may not have actually threatened or killed the Americans that he's avenging, if he kills more civilians and gives them reason to kill more Americans because they feel the same way. You see how wars get ratcheted up like this, dipshit?
this decision to attack the regime in Iran is
the closest thing I've had to an erection in years.
Single most important national security decision made by President Trump by taking out the Ayatollah, his top military leaders, the ballistic
and putting his son, who's even more radical than he, in charge.
Missiles, the drones, his naval force. All of that is making America much, much safer. And by the way, all of the clowns who go on and say this is for Israel, understand this is for America.
Yeah, dummy, okay? It's not for Israel. It's for the Saudi royal family, but it's definitely not for Israel or...
Iran wants to kill Americans. The Ayatollah called Israel the little Satan and America the great Satan. And
like Little St. James and Greater St. James Island, it's just...
President Trump said, you know what? If you're killing Americans and you're telling us you want to kill more Americans, we're going to stand up and stop you before you kill more Americans.
What if you say you're going to kill more Americans, but you actually kill less, which is kind of what happened? You say it more, but you do it less. What then?
All right, we appreciate your time, Senator Ted Cruz. Thank you. Hey,
yes, because it's so in demand. Well, I'm convinced. I don't know what the problem is. I think Candace and Tucker and that whole crowd, like, my goodness, they obviously something that's obvious. I don't know. Well, apparently, who knows who to believe, because apparently the maggots support the war now. Apparently the spell that Tucker was afraid was getting cast has worked. That's right. Don't believe me. Ask little fire stick here. Chick Fuentes over here. This is fine. Most of MAGA supports a war with Iran. Do tell.
I want to talk about this polling because this is...
Well, then go ahead. Nobody's stopping you.
Goes hand in hand with everything I just said.
Well, we didn't hear that part. You cut this in right at that point, so honestly, we don't know.
So we now have the official public opinion polling on the war in Iran. And would you be surprised to learn, this is the biggest insight in my opinion, that the demographic that supports the war the most is actually MAGA Republicans?
Wow. It's almost like these fuckers will follow Trump anywhere, and they recognize its value as a way of hiding his connection to the Epstein files almost as much as he did. Please go on. I'm sorry.
This is the data from NBC News. I'll just read it outright and we'll discuss it. It says, quote,
it says, hold on. It says...
potatoes and chicken.
No, sorry. Yeah.
A majority of registered voters disapprove of President Trump's handling.
That's because the majority of registered voters are Democrats or Democratic-leaning independents. And if everybody would just vote every time, we wouldn't be dealing with this shit.
Of the situation in Iran and believe the U.S. should not have taken military action against the country, according to a new NBC News poll. 54% of voters disapprove of Trump's handling of Iran, compared with 41% who approve. A similar share, 52% versus 41%, say the U.S. should not have taken military action. The results show clear, if expected, partisan polarization over the issue. An overwhelming majority of Democrats, 89%, say the U.S. should not have struck Iran. Among independents, 58% believe that as well. Republicans are overall more supportive of the strikes.
Yeah, but Nick, I mean, they're stupid. Look who they voted for.
77% say the U.S. should have struck Iran. 15% disagree. But there is a significant divide between Republicans who identify as MAGA and those who do not.
Right.
A full 90% of self-identified MAGA-aligned Republicans back the strikes, with only 5% saying they don't think the strikes should have been launched.
Now, I know what you're going to say. And this does not mean that MAGA has nothing to do with making America great again and America first, and that it's actually a cult, and that these fuckers will crawl through broken glass to suck on Trump's butthole. It's not that. It's that. It's actually that. Yeah, it's the fact that maggots aren't a political movement. They're a social monarchists who think Trump is magic because they're fucking dumb.
Among Republicans who do not see themselves as part of MAGA, they are more divided, with 54% supporting the strikes and 36% against them.
Yes. Even the sensible ones are still stupid.
Dum, 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 dum.
Fuck me.
NBC News poll also found a deep divide over the Iran war by age, with younger voters far more sour on the strikes than older voters. 2/3 of voters under
Well, they're not old enough to have a 47-year grudge, I guess.
35 say the U.S. should not have struck Iran.
They should have just given it a wedgie.
It's about 50-50 for every other age group. Voters with college degrees are about evenly split over the strikes. Those with bachelor's or
What are the college degrees about?
postgraduate degrees
What's the major?
overwhelmingly believe the U.S. should not have struck Iran. Now, to me, this is just a nail in the coffin.
Well, at least we agree that, the movement, where the movement deserves to be.
Because maybe it needs to be said. It's sort of sad that it does.
Not really.
When you go back to the original MAGA movement, when it all
In the 30s,
started, what this whole thing is about.
about keeping us out of World War II so Hitler could get a toehold.
Trump
The Trump version. Sorry, yeah.
came down the escalator. And among other things, the biggest, most poignant thing he said is that the war in Iraq was a mistake.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, the problem you have is that it wasn't that parts of it were bullshit. It's that
was just bullshit, Joel.
it was all bullshit. He didn't mean any of it. If you realize a part of it is an enormous fucking lie, you might want to check the other things you were kind of taking for granted.
That we should put America first. That we had been fighting never-ending battles, that we had no business fighting. We have gained nothing from it. It's cost us a fortune. Americans have died. We haven't even achieved our goals.
Yeah, but think of all the money that got shuffled around. Think of all the money laundering that occurred. I mean, do you have any idea how much money Dick Cheney made? I mean, if you knew about the war and you were the guy calling the shots, and you could manipulate the market, right? You could buy good defense contractor stuff right before you knew you were going to start it, and sell them right when you knew you were going to close down and shit like that. Like, if you knew those things, you could directly manipulate the market and tell your friends. Jesus Christ, like, you'd make way more than if you actually even had to pretend to give a shit like Cheney did.
And so this welfare warfare thing, invade the world, invite the world, the neoconservative agenda, he said this is a failure.
Right, and then he went and did it.
And we need to change.
I'm sure, you know what? I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he's being blackmailed by Netanyahu or something like that. I'm sure this isn't his choices. He's got a spell cast on him. Donald Trump is an innocent victim in all of this. He's just a pussy that the devil is grabbing.
He said we need an America first nationalist foreign policy. And his credibility on the issue came from the fact that he was one of the earliest critics of the Iraq war.
If you don't count what he said on Howard Stern.
In 2003.
Right, when he said, well, I guess you have to go in there, but I don't like it.
And whereas the Republicans at that time wanted to cast Donald Trump as a Democrat,
because he paid for 3 abortions, and that used to matter to them.
And say that he's not a true conservative.
Because he's a philanderer, doesn't believe in Christian values at all, doesn't even pretend to, is a shit businessman.
He's not of the establishment. He's not
right. He can't even establish a functioning company.
Loyal member.
He had to glom off his dad's. He's a second-generation rich
of
kid.
the movement. Trump flipped that on its head and said
it's like a cross between Christian Bale's character in American Psycho and the Penguin.
Republican establishment is corrupt too. And that maybe Trump doesn't fit into that mold, but
he does.
Good thing.
Why would you think he wouldn't fit in the mold if he eventually became the candidate twice and actually got elected? Apparently he does fit the fucking mold. And it turns out that's exactly what happened.
Because Republicans are losers. And they have been pushing America Last policies with the Democrats. And whether it's Clinton or Bush, Obama or the other Bush, you're getting the same globalist policies.
Not really. I mean, if you are getting social safety net and expansion of home ownership and all that kind of stuff and healthcare, you're getting it from Democrats.
Americans last.
That's very America first. That's honest to God. I mean, I don't want to taint them with a phrase that's really fucked up, but quite frankly, I think coming up with something like the ACA is very America first. Giving a bunch of rich assholes tax cuts isn't.
That was the genius. That was the vision of Trump 1, of the Trump.
A veneer. But no. You're still pretending there was an actual vision and it was actually true. Okay. I don't know how these guys are all just trying to like back out of a cave that they thought like this will keep us dry in the rain, and there's a bear inside, and they're all just kind of going, we just meant to walk in here for a second. I was not intending to stay here. Like they're all trying to back away from the same stupid decision without coming to terms with the fact that they were suckers themselves. Bugs me. Now, I apologize about this next visual. Hit the like, share the show before you decide not to. Remember this guy, Eric Bolling? The guy who injects marzipan into his face? Eric Bolling, tapping into our strategic petroleum reserve, is putting a piece of gauze on a hemorrhage. I'm so glad that read out hemorrhage. And I don't know what his art's about, but is the black woman in whiteface or something? This is very strange. Maybe she's just masking. I do. It's good for your pores. But this is Eric Bolling, on the host of Bowling, which is, I guess, is the equivalent of tariffs. Bowling. All right, here we go. Hit the like, share the show.
Guys, your ED pill is 25 years old. This stuff is the future, and let me tell you, my wife is loving life.
I've got about a minute here. Bowling. Oh. I don't have time to play what you did, but dude, you're so good. You told us, hey, the IEA strategic reserve of 400 million, what is it, barrels, the strategic petroleum reserve, if you do it, it's going to go up. We did it, and I think oil went up $8 at one time. Is that what? Tell us again. Give me 30 seconds for a break.
All right, I don't know what he's leading into. I'm gonna go with claptrap until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I'll give you 30
Why was
seconds.
that, Bowling?
So last night we've been talking about how useless tapping into SPRs are, whether it's domestic or international. Steve,
by the way, the IEA, the group that just promised 400 million barrels of oil would be added to the market, they're getting it from different countries tapping their own strategic petroleum reserves, just for the record.
Text me
that 400 million you've heard, that number, that includes us, I think.
Last night with the headline, Axios, by the way, great call on that pipeline. Axios headline saying Trump said he's going to tap our SPR. And my answer to you was, terrible idea. It's never worked, and it doesn't solve the problem. It's a piece of gauze on a hemorrhage. And sure enough, oil went straight up. I'll just very quickly, the reason why, Steve.
Sorry, you seem to divert from the idea that this is a dumb idea and he's going to do it.
Oil traders are smart. They realize there's no real plan to solve this thing. Tapping an SPR is very, very temporary.
So yesterday, 24.
So not only does he not have a plan for Iran, he doesn't have a plan for all the ancillary things that are happening that everybody knew were going to come, but is apparently catching everybody in the White House off guard.
Hours ago, you did called shots on the petroleum reserves, and you also had some. You've had some ideas you've put forward to the White House. So 24 hours later,
yeah, they're listening to everybody right now.
As we rolled you out of the rack, are you feeling better directionally of where this is going, hopefully to the sunlit uplands, or is Eric Bolling not feeling better, sir?
No, I'm feeling like we're headed into some badlands. A couple of things. So, Steve, we talked yesterday about don't release.
Obviously, he does not trust our Lord and Savior Donald Trump.
SPRs.
He does not actually MAGA.
Certainly not in America. Ours is for emergency use only. We don't have an emergency supply problem in America. And then you texted me last night. Trump just said he's going to release it. And I said, this is a terrible idea. And sure enough, overnight, oil traded, the Brent crude oil traded $100 a barrel. We traded around $95 a barrel in West Texas Intermediate. I would like to just tell you it won't work. Releasing it.
Is Steve Bannon just fucking with him and playing like walk-off music from the Country Music Awards every time he gets into a thought?
PR oil never works. It's a temporary. And I think traders realize that if this is all we got, So what happens just now, some breaking news right now, per Reuters, Trump announces that he's going to suspend the Jones Act, it's a 100-year-old act law that will, when he suspends it, it'll allow foreign tankers to help supply our ports. Like right now, you have to have U.S. built and manned tankers that pull into U.S. ports for 100 years.
Yeah. Hey, and, don't worry, the southern border is completely closed, but foreign ships will be stopping at all of our ports.
It's happened. It's been suspended a couple of times. Here's the point. These SPR releases and suspending these Jones Act, they don't have any effect. In fact, it was just announced, and oil is still over $100 a barrel for the Brent and $95 for us. I'll tell you what's happening, Steve. Like it or not, they've got the solution. I sent it in via of you and me talking about it to all. They have it. I'm just hoping that they're going to show him, and they're not going to hold it back because they didn't come up with it internally. Because the ideas they're coming.
Yes, that's right. They're going to crash the oil markets in the U.S. market and commit us to a longer war in Iran because they're jealous of Eric Bolling in the Trump administration. As I say those words out loud, that seems more plausible than I thought it might. Like it would, under normal circumstances, this would be an absurdity for somebody on a show like this to say, but he might have a point.
Up internally, unfortunately, are Band-Aids on hemorrhages, and it's going to get worse. Oil prices are going to go up, and I will tell you this. I said this to you. I'm going to play this oil market to go down. I hope it gets to 120 because it is going to be back at $80, $70, $80 in no time. There are so many simple solutions that, for whatever reason, the administration seems to be ignoring.
It's so terrible. What reason could they possibly be besides? I'm trying to think insider trading, why they might, friends in the oil industry, that they might do something like that, payoffs, that they would know that, of course, leveraging the market. There's so many possibilities here that rug pull they could possibly try just to feather their own nest, manage this problem. I guess we'll find out. There is... we do have more people kind of turning on Trump, although this shouldn't be as surprising. This is from Forbes breaking news. And this is, I want to say the Wall Street Journal talking about this, but warning to Trump. And this is Steve Forbes, but if you let Putin win the Russia-Ukraine war, it would be a catastrophe. Currently, there seems to be an agreement about that, largely because we need Ukraine for their drone expertise.
Depriving Putin of a win in Ukraine is as critical for our security and that of the free world as ending the evil regime in Iran.
You know what's even more crucial? Watching an old fart read a teleprompter that's still on his laptop, even though the camera is up here. It's the thing that would hold your brain if you had one.
Hello, I'm Steve Forbes.
Hi, I'm not.
And this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times.
Yo, good. Somebody take notes for me.
A U.S.-Israeli victory in Iran would indeed be a significant blow to the imperial ambitions of China, Russia, and North Korea.
Yeah, suck it.
And victory here means regime change.
That's right. This is wait, what? This is a regime change? Okay. It's a regime change war. Yeah. Trump wants to be in Forbes. He likes being in Forbes. So it is now. He said so fuck.
Anything less would be a dangerous blow to the credibility of the U.S.
Right. You can't attempted murder. Nobody respects you in C block. If you attempted murder, you gotta kill that fucker.
But no less important is maintaining and solidifying the true independence of Ukraine. Putin has never wavered in his demand for serious territorial concessions that would fatally undermine Ukraine's ability to defend itself from future Kremlin assaults.
Yeah, that's kind of the entire point. It's not even that he's like not trying to do him a solid and they're not letting him. That's the purpose of negotiating. I can't allow them to have any say in this because they will be able to fight back when I try to take the rest of their country later.
Concessions would also include a ban on the permanent stationing of credibly sized European forces that could act as a tripwire to any future Russian attacks.
And by tripwire, I mean they'll die first.
That is, a renewed invasion would trigger a war with other European states.
Yes, which is something my friends and I look forward to.
Bad Ukraine peace would eventually end its independence, with ugly consequences for its people and its culture.
Speaking of ugly consequences, I don't know how much more I can stand of him reading from that teleprompter, but I will say it's pretty great that there's some division on there that's taking seat and helping Ukraine. Strange bedfellows time. It's like listening to fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene talk right now. Here's another one. There's the big fight right now. We saw a moment of Tucker a bit ago. The war between him and Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson is heating up, kids. And it could split the right, according to this. Ted Cruz warns Tucker Carlson feud could split the right. Don't threaten me with a good time. Apparently, America has a tachyarrhythmia right now. Political pulse. We know what's going on. Sorry, I couldn't tell if that was a heartbeat at the end or she swore and they had to cover it.
Well, okay.
Oh, hello. Well, Gina hogging my airtime. What's going on? I want a refund. Welcome back.
They went to the wrong camera. That's somebody, whoever's working the switcher.
A refund? That doesn't even make any sense.
You're right, it doesn't. Your entire show lacks credibility, so...
Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. She's Gina Loudon. She'll be here in just a moment. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you, by the way, to join the conversation on Getter and Rumble. All right, time now to take the...
Yeah, that would mean going to Getter or Rumble, so...
Political pulse of America. Here is the beat today. Oh, it's narcissistic. I had the opportunity to sit down with Ted Cruz. That would be the Texas senator.
Yes, I'm almost as embarrassed about it as Texas should be.
Yesterday, in his office on Capitol Hill, we did a 40-minute interview.
Yeah, you don't think he's busy legislating, do you?
We had the chance to talk about a variety of topics.
Like Iran, the Iranians.
Including the ongoing conflict in Iran. Lots to report there. Now, on a separate note, I asked the senator about ongoing division on the right,
about Iran.
Including his recent comments about Tucker Carlson.
Over Iran.
Then have a look.
You've been very outspoken, obviously, about Tucker Carlson. He's been outspoken about you, for sure. Look, you say you're going to take him on directly. I want to know what that looks like specifically. But more than that,
And are you selling tickets, and will there be baby oil? What are you asking?
calling out Republicans overall to say, hey, it's time. Say his name. Yeah. Let me ask you a bit of an uncomfortable question.
Sorry, I didn't realize Tucker was the Voldemort of the Republican Party.
J.D. Vance is good friends with Tucker Carlson. I get the friendship part of it, but he has not talked about this.
I don't know if they're friends. I think they share khakis once in a while.
Do you think he should?
At the same time.
Look, everyone's going to have to decide where they stand.
true leadership.
I believe, Ronald Reagan in 1964 gave a very famous speech, A Time for Choosing. And I think this is a time for choosing.
He just gave the speech too early. Reagan was a genius, but his timing sucked.
And
it's always a time for choosing, apparently. Here, whether you're, dealing with listening to me or Tucker Carlson, or whether you're at a buffet and you're like, salad or nah.
Is silence complicity?
Yes. Words are violence and silence is complicity. Yeah. He should wear one of the ACT UP flag shirts.
Say a decade ago, when anti-Semitism began rising in the left, the Democrat leadership did nothing. They looked the other way.
Yeah, we also didn't give birth to it, and it didn't grow and metastasize, so...
And it's consumed their party. I mean, there is a very real pro-Hamas contingent.
No, not anywhere near the level of support that they get from the Tucker crowd.
In the Democrat Party. In the last year and a half, I have seen more anti-Semitism on the right than at any point in my life.
Right, because again, like I said, you think something's a threat until you know something, you see a real threat, and you're like, oh, that was nothing. This is the real thing.
And it is dangerous. Mm-hmm. And it risks consuming our party. I don't want us to make the same mistake Democrat leaders made a decade ago, of just to look the other way and to be silent.
Websites your competitors don't want you to know.
Okay, I don't know. Oh, because I'm not signed in on that page either. Why would you not sign in on each page, you weirdo? Okay, there's another real quick take. I'm needle dropping today. Just forgive me on this because there's too much stuff. Strait of Hormuz, still a big story, especially amongst right-wingers who are super Trumpies. You know how I know? Because they have thumbnails that say, this sucks. Shipping expert. Iran war could trigger massive oil market collapse. This sucks. You know how close this is to Trump sucks? It's just, the letters aren't as big when you make that thumbnail, but it's on its way.
I am a gigantic nerd, and I find it to be unbelievably fascinating. I just always have. Logistics in general, military logistics, shipping, just the fact that there is global shipping. We have ships.
Yes, crazy.
It's all over the ocean, around.
That happens?
The world. It's amazing to me.
Whatever.
And look, before I get to John, I'll tell you, I know this is hugely nerdy. Whenever I am at a big shipyard, anywhere.
Just hanging out at the docks with a roll of quarters, looking for a good time.
Anywhere, any big port city.
Yeah, that's where you head. So anytime you're in a port city, you head straight to the docks. Uh-huh. What do you bring with you? Some candy bars and spare change?
Can't stop looking at it. All the ships coming in and going out and loaded and unloaded.
Yeah, you're just down at the port watching things go in and out. It's what is happening?
The whole thing fascinates me. So that, of course, begs the question. We have a war with Iran right now, this whole Strait of Hormuz.
Excuse me. Military action or excursion? I think we've decided excursion works the best.
This thing sure sounds important. Should I care about any of this? Am I going to pay more at the pump? Joining me now, John Conrad, CEO of G Captain. Okay, John, the Strait of Hormuz, let's begin there.
No, let's begin with why he's in a hotel. Did his wife kick him out? Did she have good reason to?
Never been there. I've certainly never caught any walleye in it. Where is it? Why does it matter to me?
Well, you got the Persian Gulf, where 20% of...
Oh, my God. Is that what's happening all over, like, MAGA-dom? Is they're just all getting a primer and shit we've all known since the Iraq War? And granted, some of us who are older, well before that.
Of all the world's oil and natural gas is, and it's a big...
Sorry, how much?
Well, you got the Persian Gulf, where 20% of all the...
Sorry, it's okay. Thank you. I just said really, but in the seriously, and it's not. I understand how you got confused. I apologize. and sleep. Okay.
World's oil and natural gas is, and it's a big bathtub. And to get out of the bathtub, you have to do a giant U-turn right around Iran.
Yeah, you do realize there was a picture up on the screen. That's not how it works at all. You don't have to do a big U-turn. Okay.
Strait is 20 miles wide, and that is why it is important, people. When you're that close to land, you not only have to worry about warships. Trump has said we have sunk all those warships, but you can hit ships with other things like artillery or rockets or drones, or send little fishing boats out with mines to drop over the side. So it's challenging.
Apparently, this is the first time he's hearing this. Oh.
And if you go back and look at the British Empire, that's what they really controlled, whether it's Singapore or near Hong Kong, Strait of Gibraltar, Suez.
Yeah, they fucking do the Panama Canal. Anyways, point being is that these folks are concerned about oil prices, and that's all we really need to know.